Chosen one, pause for a moment and really hear this. The pressure you've been carrying was never meant to break you, it was meant to reposition you. You've been worrying about how things will work out, how the bills will be paid, how the next opportunity will come, but God is shifting your perspective right now. This is your reminder that your life is not sustained by your strength alone. It is backed by divine provision. What you're facing isn't lack, it's a test of trust. Every delay, every closed door, every moment of uncertainty has been preparing you to rely less on what you can control and more on what God has already arranged behind the scenes. You may not see the full picture yet, but resources, connections, and unexpected opportunities are already being aligned in your favor. God is not just guiding your steps, He is funding the assignment attached to your life. That means what you need will meet you when you need it. Not always early, not always in the way you expect, but always on time. Worrying won't accelerate what's already been scheduled. It only drains your faith in the process. This is the moment to shift from fear to confidence. Walk like someone who knows they are supported. Move like someone who understands they are covered. Because when God is the source, limitation is an illusion. Provision follows purpose. Provision is not random, it is intentional, targeted, and deeply connected to purpose. When your life feels scattered, uncertain, or directionless, it often reflects a deeper misalignment. God doesn't invest in confusion because confusion produces hesitation, inconsistency, and doubt. But the moment clarity enters your spirit, when you begin to understand why you are here and what you are called to do, everything starts to shift. Purpose acts like a signal. It sends out a clear message into the unseen, aligning the right people, opportunities, and resources to locate you. This is why two people can be working just as hard, yet experiencing completely different results. One is striving without alignment, while the other is moving within divine intention. When you're aligned, you don't have to force doors open. They begin to open because you're finally walking in the direction they were placed. Clarity doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It means you've committed to what God has revealed so far. Even a small step in the right direction activates movement. Resources respond to direction, not perfection. The moment you start honoring your purpose, even in its early stages, provision begins to recognize you. This is also why distractions are so dangerous. Anything that pulls you away from your purpose delays the flow meant for you. You may find yourself exhausted, doing a lot, but receiving little, simply because you're pouring energy into what you were never assigned to carry. When you return to your purpose, things begin to feel lighter, not because there's no effort, but because there's alignment. What once felt like struggle begins to feel like momentum. So the question is no longer, where will the resources come from? The real question is, am I aligned with what I was created to do? Because once that answer is yes, provision is no longer something you chase, it becomes something that follows you. What you need is already assigned. There's a powerful shift that happens when you realize you're not chasing provision, you're stepping into what has already been prepared. So much of the stress you feel comes from thinking everything depends on you finding, forcing, or figuring it out. But divine order doesn't work like that. What you need has already been assigned to your life. The question is whether you're moving in the direction where it can meet you. Every opportunity, connection, and resource tied to your purpose exists on a timeline that doesn't always match your expectations. This is why impatience can feel so heavy. It convinces you that nothing is happening, when in reality, things are aligning behind the scenes. People are being positioned, doors are being prepared, and circumstances are being arranged in ways you can't yet see. Assignment is about alignment. The right help won't require you to beg, shrink yourself, or compromise your values. When something is truly meant for you, it comes with a sense of confirmation, even if it stretches you. You'll recognize it not just by how it looks, but by how it fits. This doesn't mean you stay still. Movement matters. But instead of moving from panic, you move with intention. Each step of obedience brings you closer to what has already been marked with your name. Sometimes, what you're waiting for is also waiting for you to grow, to decide, or to step forward. It's also important to understand that not everything is assigned to you. Some doors won't open, no matter how hard you try, and that's protection, not rejection. What is assigned to you will not require you to become someone you're not in order to receive it. So instead of asking, "Why don't I have it yet?" ask, "Am I in position for what's already mine?" Because when alignment meets timing, what's assigned doesn't delay, it arrives with clarity, purpose, and peace. Delay is not denial. What feels like a delay can easily be mistaken for rejection, but they are not the same. Delay carries purpose. Denial closes a door. When God delays something, it's not because He's withholding, it's because He's preparing. Timing is one of the most overlooked parts of provision. You may be ready in desire, but not yet ready in capacity, wisdom, or positioning to sustain what you're asking for. If everything came the moment you wanted it, you might mishandle it, outgrow it too quickly, or miss the deeper lesson attached to it. Delay creates depth. It builds patience, strengthens discernment, and refines your character so that when what you've been waiting for finally arrives, you don't just receive it, you can maintain it. There's also a bigger picture you don't fully see. Your timing is based on your current perspective, but God's timing considers everything: other people, future consequences, unseen risks, and long-term impact. What feels late to you is often perfectly placed within a larger plan that is still unfolding. Delay can also be protection. Some things look good in the moment but would become burdens if received too early. God may be holding something back not to frustrate you, but to prevent unnecessary damage or distraction. In that sense, delay is not empty. It is active, intentional, and strategic. This is where trust becomes essential. You won't always understand why something hasn't happened yet, but you can choose how you respond in the waiting. You can either grow restless and lose focus, or you can use the time to build, prepare, and align yourself even more with your purpose. So instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" consider asking, "What is this time preparing me for?" Because when it finally happens, you'll realize it didn't arrive late. It arrived right, complete, and at the exact moment you were ready to handle it. Worry blocks awareness. Worry doesn't stop provision, it distorts your ability to recognize it. When your mind is consumed with fear, doubt, and what-if scenarios, your focus narrows. You begin to look at life through the lens of lack, and in that state, even when opportunities appear, you may overlook, dismiss, or misinterpret them. Worry creates noise. It fills your thoughts with urgency and pressure, making everything feel like it must be solved immediately. But provision often shows up quietly in ideas, subtle opportunities, small beginnings, or unexpected conversations. If your mind is overwhelmed, you won't notice these moments because you're too busy scanning for problems instead of recognizing solutions. It also affects your decision-making. When you operate from worry, you tend to react instead of respond. You might rush into the wrong opportunities out of fear of missing out, or avoid the right ones because they don't look the way you expected. In both cases, worry leads you away from alignment. Another danger of worry is that it disconnects you from trust. It shifts your focus entirely onto what you can control, making you feel like everything depends on your effort alone. That pressure is exhausting, and it blinds you to the fact that not everything is your responsibility to carry. Awareness requires stillness. When you calm your mind, you create space to observe, to discern, and to recognize what is already unfolding around you. You begin to see patterns, connections, and opportunities that were always there, but previously hidden behind anxiety. This doesn't mean you ignore reality or pretend challenges don't exist. It means you choose not to let fear dominate your perspective. You stay present, grounded, and open. So instead of asking, "What if things go wrong?" shift to, "What is already going right that I haven't noticed yet?" Because provision isn't always absent, it's often unrecognized. And the moment you quiet the worry, your awareness sharpens, and what you need becomes much easier to see. God uses unexpected channels. One of the biggest reasons people feel unsupported is because they've already decided how provision is supposed to show up. They expect it to come through familiar paths, stable income, known contacts, predictable opportunities. But God often works outside of those expectations, not to confuse you, but to stretch your awareness and remind you that your source is not limited to what you can anticipate. Unexpected channels require openness. Provision might come through a conversation you didn't plan to have, an idea that seems too simple to matter, or a connection that doesn't look important at first glance. It can arrive through people who don't fit your usual circle, or through opportunities that seem unrelated to what you thought you needed. If you're too fixed on one outcome, you can miss the very thing meant to help you. This is why flexibility matters. Alignment doesn't mean rigidity, it means responsiveness. When you stay attentive and willing, you position yourself to recognize value in places you might have ignored before. What looks small or unfamiliar can carry exactly what you need. It also challenges pride. Sometimes provision comes in ways that require humility to receive help, to try something new, or to step outside your comfort zone. If you're only willing to accept support that fits your expectations, you limit the ways it can reach you. At the same time, discernment is key. Not every unexpected opportunity is meant for you, but the right ones will carry a sense of alignment, even if they stretch you. They won't require you to compromise your values or lose your sense of direction. The deeper truth is this: your provision is not confined to a single path. There are multiple ways for what you need to reach you. When one door doesn't open, it doesn't mean there's no way, it means there's another route. So stay open, pay attention. What you've been waiting for may not look the way you imagined, but it will carry exactly what you need when it arrives. Your assignment comes with supply. Every true assignment carries its own provision. God does not give you a vision and then leave you to struggle endlessly trying to fund it. If the assignment is real, the supply is already built into it. The challenge is not whether provision exists, it's whether you're fully stepping into what you've been called to do. Many people feel stuck because they're trying to separate purpose from provision. They pursue what feels safe or familiar for financial security while neglecting the very assignment that carries their supply. But when you operate outside your assignment, things feel forced. You may still make progress, but it often comes with strain, inconsistency, and a sense that something is missing. Your assignment is different. Even when it stretches you, there's a sense of alignment that makes the effort meaningful. And within that alignment, provision begins to show up, not always all at once, but in stages. What you need for the next step becomes available as you move forward. This is why obedience matters. You don't have to see the entire path to begin. When you take action on what you've already been shown, you activate access to what comes next. Supply often meets you in motion, not in hesitation. It's also important to release the idea that provision must look a certain way. Sometimes the supply attached to your assignment comes as ideas, skills, growth, or connections before it shows up as money. These are all forms of preparation that position you to handle greater levels of responsibility. There will be moments when it feels like you don't have enough, but that doesn't mean you've been abandoned. It may mean you're being stretched to trust the process and to use what you already have more effectively. So instead of asking, "Do I have enough to start?" shift to, "Am I willing to move with what I've been given?" Because your assignment was never meant to drain you, it was designed to sustain you. And as you walk in it, the supply you need will continue to meet you, step by step. Faith activates flow. Faith is not just a belief, it's a posture that shifts how you move through life. When you operate from fear, everything feels restricted. You hesitate, overthink, and second-guess yourself. But when you move in faith, something changes internally. You become decisive, open, and aligned, and that alignment creates flow. Flow is what happens when resistance is removed. It's not that challenges disappear, but you stop fighting everything mentally. You begin to trust that each step you take is leading somewhere meaningful, even if you don't see the full picture yet. That trust allows you to act with confidence instead of constantly waiting for perfect conditions. Faith also changes how you interpret situations. Where fear sees lack, faith sees potential. Where fear sees delay, faith sees preparation. This shift in perspective is powerful because it influences your actions. You start saying yes to the right opportunities, showing up more fully, and staying consistent even when results aren't immediate. Another important part of faith is movement. It's not passive. You don't just sit back and hope things work out. You engage, you build, you take steps. Even small actions matter. When you move with intention, you signal readiness, and that readiness creates momentum. Flow often starts subtly. A new idea comes. A helpful connection appears. A door opens that wasn't visible before. These moments may seem small, but they build on each other. The more you respond with faith, the more those moments increase. On the other hand, doubt interrupts that flow. It makes you pull back, question everything, and sometimes abandon what you started. This is why consistency is so important. Faith isn't a one-time decision. It's something you choose repeatedly, especially when things feel uncertain. So instead of waiting to feel completely sure, move with what you know right now. Trust the step in front of you. Because when faith leads, flow follows, and what once felt stuck begins to move with direction and purpose. Lack is not your identity. It's easy to internalize seasons of scarcity and begin to see them as a reflection of who you are. When things aren't flowing, when money is tight, or when opportunities feel limited, the mind starts forming conclusions. Maybe this is just my life. Maybe I'm not meant for more. But that's where the real danger lies, not in the lack itself, but in the identity you attach to it. Lack is a condition, not a definition. It is temporary, situational, and subject to change. Identity, on the other hand, is powerful. Once you start identifying with struggle, you begin to think, act, and expect from that place. You lower your vision, settle for less, and unconsciously reject opportunities that don't match the story you've accepted about yourself. But you were never designed to live in limitation. Your current situation may reflect a moment, but it does not define your capacity or your future. The truth is, many people pass through seasons of lack not because they're meant to stay there, but because they're learning how to think, build, and trust differently. This is why mindset matters. When you separate your identity from your circumstances, you reclaim your power. You begin to see lack as feedback instead of failure. It becomes something to learn from, not something to become. It also changes how you respond. Instead of shrinking, you start stretching. You become more open to growth, more willing to take aligned risks, and more aware of possibilities. You stop saying, "This is all I have," and start asking, "What can I build from here?" Breaking out of a lack mindset doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let reality define your worth or your direction. You can acknowledge where you are without accepting it as where you'll always be. So, remind yourself, this is a phase, not a label. What you're experiencing right now is not your identity. And the moment you stop identifying with lack, you create space to step into abundance with clarity, confidence, and intention. Obedience unlocks resources. There are moments in life when the next level of provision isn't waiting on more effort, it's waiting on your obedience. You may be praying for clarity, asking for more, or hoping for a breakthrough, but sometimes the answer has already been given in the form of an instruction you've been delaying, questioning, or avoiding. Obedience is powerful because it aligns you with direction. It moves you out of overthinking and into action. When you follow what you've been clearly shown, no matter how small or uncomfortable it feels, you position yourself to access what comes next. Resources are often attached to specific steps, not general intentions. Many people get stuck because they're waiting for full understanding before they move. But clarity often comes after obedience, not before. The first step may not make complete sense, but it carries the key to the next opportunity, connection, or idea. When you act, things begin to unfold. Disobedience, on the other hand, creates delay, not as punishment, but as a natural consequence of misalignment. When you ignore direction, you stay in the same place, repeating the same cycles, wondering why nothing is changing. It's not that provision isn't available, it's that you're not in the position to receive it yet. Obedience also builds trust, both in yourself and in your ability to follow through. Each time you act on what you know is right, you strengthen your confidence and sharpen your discernment. You become more aware of what aligns and what doesn't. It's important to understand that obedience doesn't always feel convenient. Sometimes it requires letting go, stepping out, or doing something that stretches you, but what it unlocks is always greater than what it costs. So instead of asking, "What else do I need?" consider, "What have I already been instructed to do that I haven't acted on?" Because your next resource may not come from searching harder, it may come from finally moving on what you already know. You are backed, not alone. One of the heaviest illusions you can carry is the belief that everything depends on you. It creates pressure, anxiety, and the constant feeling that if you don't figure it all out, everything will fall apart. But the truth is, you were never meant to do life unsupported. There is a backing behind your life that goes beyond your own effort, and recognizing that changes everything. Being backed doesn't mean life becomes effortless. It means you're not carrying the weight alone. There is guidance available when you need direction, strength when you feel weak, and provision when resources seem limited. You are supported in ways you may not always see, but can often feel through intuition, timely opportunities, and moments where things come together in ways you couldn't have planned. When you believe you're alone, you operate from survival mode. You try to control everything, anticipate every outcome, and protect yourself from every possible risk. But that mindset is exhausting and limiting. It keeps you small, cautious, and hesitant to step into bigger opportunities. When you understand you're backed, your posture shifts. You become more confident, more willing to take aligned risks, and more open to growth. You stop trying to force everything and start trusting that not every outcome is yours to manage. Your responsibility is to show up, to act with intention, and to stay aligned, not to control every detail. This awareness also brings peace. Even when things are uncertain, you know you're not navigating blindly. There's a bigger structure supporting your journey, ensuring that even your missteps can be redirected into something meaningful. So when the pressure starts to build, remind yourself, you are not alone in this. You are supported, guided, and backed. And when you move with that understanding, you stop shrinking under pressure and start rising with confidence, knowing you don't have to carry it all by yourself. Chosen one, this is your confirmation. Your life is not running on chance, it's running on divine backing. Every step you've taken, every challenge you've faced, and every moment that made you question yourself has been part of a bigger alignment. You were never meant to figure everything out alone, and you were never meant to live in constant worry. God is not just watching your journey, He is actively involved in it. He is funding what He has assigned to you, guiding what He has called you to do, and sustaining you in ways you may not always recognize at first. What feels uncertain to you is already accounted for in His plan. So this is your moment to release the pressure. Stop carrying what was never yours to hold. Stop trying to control every outcome. Worry cannot add to your life. It only distracts you from what is already unfolding in your favor. Walk with confidence. Move with intention. Trust that what you need will meet you as you continue forward. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. And you are definitely not unsupported. Everything is aligning. Everything is working. And most importantly, everything you need is already on the way. Now, step into your life like someone who knows they are fully backed, because you are.